When I was a young lad in school, grade school, I was always worried that my grandmother might go to hell. Not because she was an evil, witchy woman, but because she was a Presbyterian. And in my childhood, there was a great sense, at least among my fellow religionists, Catholics, that if you weren't a Catholic, you weren't going to quite make it. That's an attitude of mine which prevailed among religious people for a long, long time. Fortunately, in my lifetime, I've seen that changed with what they call the ecumenical movement, when we Christians begin to look at each other face to face, to listen to each other, to pray together, and to begin to understand each other and to recognize each other as truly disciples of Jesus. But unfortunately, that attitude of the other and condemning the other is still prevailing among us. Not so much ecclesiastically, but politically. We tend to look at people and look down on them or categorize them according to their political beliefs. Actually, it still exists in the church, but it's interchurch now. It's among Christians of one denomination or another, challenging each other as not true believers because they're not towing the mark. They're not following a consistent pattern. They're not believing as I believe or acting as I act. Obviously, from the readings today at Mass, the Gospel especially, this attitude has always been a temptation for the disciples of Jesus, to down the other because they weren't exactly like us, because they weren't doing exactly what we were doing or thinking the way we were thinking. This is an attitude which is contrary completely to the approach that God takes to us, that Jesus exemplified for us in his life. Somewhere recently I read a quote that said, "We all know where the Spirit is. We all know that the Spirit of Jesus is within the Christian community, that the Spirit of Jesus is poured into the baptized person. We all know where the Spirit is." But the quote continued, "We don't know where the Spirit is not." We cannot confine the activity of the Spirit of Jesus to one group of people alone, or one way of thinking alone. The Spirit of Jesus, as the Gospel says, is like the wind. It blows where it wills. And the Spirit of Jesus has impregnated the whole world and is reaching into the hearts of all the children of God. And we need to be able to see that activity and to encourage it and to accept it, and perhaps let it challenge us, because sometimes we see the non-believer acting more like a Christ-like person than we do. These are challenging times, and there's a real temptation to divide person and group from each other. And as a result, we have wars on an international scale, on an ecclesiastical scale, within the family even. Let us put away our prejudices and our preconceived notions and begin to look for the Spirit of Jesus active all throughout the world, within all the people of God, which means within everyone.